All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott, formerly of Rankin Technical College, and as part of my YouTube channel, JPS-Jeff Teaches Programming, which currently has in it about 75 videos and one playlist, that being Jeff Teaches Programming-Python. That's what I've been attempting to do. And up until the last couple lectures, everything I've been doing has been console-based, but we're moving now, for lack of better words, into the land of GUI, and we're using TKinter. All right, and what I have in here is 6 rows currently. Row 1 has a label for the first name and then an entry field. Please remember that the difference between an entry field and a text field is an entry field can only be 1 line in length, where a text field can be potentially multiple lines. Row 2 has got the last name label and the last name entry field. And notice that neither of these can be blank. Row 3 has got hours worked label and an hours worked entry field, and the hours worked must be between 0 and 84. Row 4 has the hourly rate. In fact, I can't even do this. I don't have to, but like that. 4 has got the hourly rate. It's got to be between 0 and 99. These, again, were arbitrary things I came up with. Row 5 has the gross pay, and we do want to allow for gross pay to include overtime, which is at time and a half for any hours greater than 40. Row 6 has got buttons to calculate, to clear, and to exit. All right, now I can remove this. I was playing around with how to do some exception handling, and I was going to use regular expressions, but I didn't like the way it worked. So here are some constants I created. Minimum hours that somebody can work are 0. Maximum hours somebody can work are 84. Again, that would be 12 hours a day at 7 hours a week. The minimum hourly rate is 0. The maximum hourly rate is $99.99. The maximum number of hours you can work without getting overtime is 40, and the overtime rate is 1.5. Now, I did change some stuff in here. All right, I went and looked online for an empty field, and this is what they suggested, and it seems to work. So if there's nothing in the text box, we're going to raise a value error that says first name cannot be empty. All right, we're doing the same thing for the last name. And that's the only thing we put in there. So again, if I save this and I run it, so there's nothing in the first name, calculate. There's my message box. First name cannot be empty. And if I do put something in there, so if I put in Jeff and then I click it, then I get last name cannot be empty, which is right there. All right, then I changed this around, added some stuff, moved some stuff around, etc. I did the same kind of thing so that if this one is empty, the hours worked, we say hours worked cannot be empty. So you'll notice that if we do that one, so if I come in here and say Jeff Scott, but leave this field empty, the hours worked, I do get hours worked cannot be empty. So that is hitting that exactly as it should. If it gets down to here, there was something in the text box. We don't know what, but there was something. So we attempt to convert that into a float. If for some reason that conversion fails, it's going to automatically throw an error. All right. Then we get down here, and this is a range check. So and remember, it has to be greater than or equal to 0, and it has to be less than or equal to 84. And 0 is min hours, 84 is max hours. So we can say here, if we want, even 0.00 and 0.00. So with this range check, if it's out of range, we're putting in another value error. All right. And then we're going to do the same kind of thing in just a minute for the hourly rate. But first, let's bring this back up. You've already seen that if I put something in here, and if I leave this empty, boom. Now, if I put something in that's non-numeric and I try to run it, I get this. It's invalid input, could not convert string to float. And it's getting that from down here. Invalid input, there's the title. And the string, there it is, could not convert string to float. So it's a conversion type of error. If I put something out of range, so if I put something less than 0, okay, hours worked must be between 0 and 84. And if I put something greater than 84, I should get the same error. And you can see that I do. All right. Now we do the same type of thing for hourly rate that we just did for hours worked. So we make sure that it's not empty. If it's not empty, we try to take what was in the text box or the entry field and convert it to a float. Then we do a range check. So that should be hourly rate range check. And it's greater than or equal to 0, and it's less than or equal to 99.99. All right, so let's check that one out quickly. So we've already checked these 3 fields out of the 4. So here I'm going to say Jeff, Scott, and we'll say I worked 50 hours, 30 hours, fine. And I'll leave it blank. I get it cannot be empty. If I put something in here that's non-numeric, that fires. All right. If I put something out of range, all right, it says what it must be between. All right. Finally, if I do put something in within range, now you'll notice here we worked 30 hours. Let's put it 40. That's the most you can work with no overtime. So if this works, I should get here 1,200. And I do. If I put in here 50, then I'd have 10 hours of overtime. So I should get 10 hours at $45 an hour. So it should be 450 plus 1,200, I think. 1,650 if I did my math right. And there it is. All right, clear works. When I exit now, it does ask. If I say no, it keeps me there. And if I say yes, it ends the program. All right. So this was the calculation for the hours worked, hourly rate, etc. All right. And if they work more than 40 hours, we figure out the overtime hours. Gross pay is equal to, this is their straight pay plus their overtime pay. Otherwise, there was no overtime. So it's just a straight hours worked times hourly rate. All right. And then, as it says, put the gross pay into the gross pay entry field. So put the gross pay variable value into the, well, we can put it there, EF gross pay entry field. So we set it to normal. Why? So we're able to put something into it. Then we blank out whatever's there. We put the value in. We put in a $sign, and we set it to 2 decimal places. Then we set it back to read only so it can't be changed. If there were any errors along the way, we just do a message box, and you've already seen those. The clear works. We've already talked about the clear. And what I had to change in here was not very much. I had self in here. Well, that's if you're working with classes. We weren't working with a class. That's why it didn't work there, and it didn't work to put it here. I removed self from here, changed this to just root.destroy, and it now works just fine. So everything in here, I'm not saying this is the best way this could be written. This is a way that it can be written. So I'm going to do a save all. Now I'm going to do something, it's going to look a little weird maybe for a second, but I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to put it right here. All right, and now I'm going to open this one up. I'm going to remove the first one. All right, so this is still the same, but I'm going to add to this now. All right, what do I mean? Well, what I mean is it's currently working, but it basically only allots, so to speak, for one person putting their totals in there. So we're going to change that. All right, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add 5 more rows. All right, so we're at row 6. So 7. So row 7 with a label for lowest paid employee. Row 7 with an entry field for the lowest paid employee. All right. Then for row 8, let's copy this down. So this will be row 8. But this will be now for the highest paid employee. All right. Row 9 will be for the average paid employee. Oh boy. So if you had 2 employees, one who made $1,000 and one who made $500, then of course the average would be $750. All right, that's what I'm talking about here. All right, did I miss anything here? 6, 7. Oh, I did miss one here. I'm sorry. So this is actually 8. This is 9. And this is 10. I missed one, and we're going to put it in just a second here. All right, let's just copy this. All right, so this is row 7 now, and this is not going to be for the lowest paid employee. This is going to be for the total number of employees. As will this. All right, so this will now be row 8. Oh, I guess it is 8. All right, but that's going to be at 8 here for the label for the lowest paid. This will be 9 here. This will be 10 here. All right, and then finally we're going to have one more row. And row 11 with a label for total payroll. And row 11 will have an entry field for the total payroll. Now, even though it didn't have to be done like this, with this one, what I did was I created a class. All right, just to show you another way that this can be done. All right, so I'm going to leave all those up there, and I'm going to start in here, and I'm going to put in here class, we'll just call it Payroll02 GUI, because that's what this is. All right, now I'm going to grab everything I've got here, all these things, everything that I've defined in here. and I'm going to tab it over 1. All right, just because otherwise I'm going to get errors as I go through it. So, all right, so I'm here. And I need my constructor, the equivalent of my constructor. And we're going to pass in self, and we're also going to pass in root. All right, so as we come in here, what did we call the other one? Just check real quick. So I'm just going to use the same thing in here. In fact, I should be able to grab a bunch of this stuff. I'm going to have to make some minor modifications to it, but that's okay. Just grab that. Okay, self.root.title. And let me just paste that in here. I'm going to get rid of it. I'll get rid of it in a second. So this is going to be payroll calculator 02. All right. I think that I can come in here and say self.root.font settings. We're going to find out right now. Okay. And we have to, again, set the window size. Now, this is going to have to be a bigger window than it was last time because we're putting more junk into it. So I'm just going to make it 800 by 800. It should be plenty big. All right. The other thing I'm going to do after this, I'm going to set the window size, and I'm going to pretty it up a little. So I'm going to say self.root.configure. So all the way around, I'm going to set padding X equal to 20 and padding Y equal to 20. Just so it looks, like I said, it looks a little bit nicer. All right. All right. Now, do I need anything else in here? Well, the other thing that I can do, so that's set the window size. And then down here, I've already defined the font. Really, I should have probably put that lower, because these are the most important things. These are things that are going to affect rather the entire program. It's the stuff at the root. Well, font settings is too. So we'll leave that there. And I'm also going to say self.widget width and I set mine equal to 20, but I'm going to try making it 30. See if that's going to be too big or not. All right. Then I want to be able to go in to create and place the widgets. Widgets are just controls. So I'm going to say self.create widgets. Okay, and what is that? Well, that's the same thing we did down here before. That's all this stuff right here. So we're going to grab this that we did for every row here. In fact, let's see, we can get rid of some of this stuff now. I don't need the title anymore. I've already set that. I don't need the font settings. I don't need the window size. So these can all be removed. So I've already done those up above. All right, so there's this 5. Those are my first rows here. X, and let's move these up. Don't worry if I'm getting errors. Hopefully they'll work their way out in just a bit. All right, so I want to come here, and now I want to say def create widgets, and of course, as always, I have to pass in self. Now I should be able to go and put this stuff in there. Now I'm going to get errors. It's not moved over right, etc. So we're going to fix that right now. You can see how goofed up it is. I just thought it would be faster to do it like this, that's all. All right, so there we go. Now, doesn't like font settings, because the first time I made it, I did it one way, and the second time I did it another way. All right, so what we're going to need in here is a self dot in front of each one of these. The label should be fine, but this will be self dot, so will this. And you can see that the errors are at least starting to go away. This will probably have to be a self dot also. All right. Now, as we run through this, we're going to have to make some changes. For instance, this is going to be self.root. All right. First name, font settings, self.font settings. That should be everything in here. Okay, this will also have to be a self.root. And I think this one will be fine the way it is. So you can see the errors are all left there. All right. So let's go and start making these changes. So I'm going to see if I can do some of these globally. If I come in here and say root, I want to change that to self.root. Should be able to change all of them there. So those are done. And now those are done. And hopefully at least that fixed everything. I think it did. Let's put it that way. All right, so let's get rid of this, and this, and this. So what's got to change now? All right, well, I've got to add the other stuff in here. So this is going to be similar to this. So I'm going to grab this. So for lack of better words, I've kind of got a template to use here. All right, and this is going to be row 7. And it's going to be for the total number of employees. Again, self.root. This can say now total number employees. All right. The font, we've got everything else. The padding we have. And I'm going to change the sticky. We're going to talk about this in a little bit because I haven't discussed it yet, but we're going to change the sticky to a W. All right. In fact, we're going to make sticky equal to W for all of them. All right, so get rid of this, and this, and this, and move this over. So we now have rows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 was the buttons. Why is this wrong? 0 is first name, 1 was last name, 2 was hours worked, 3 was hourly rate, 4 was gross pay. What am I missing here? Oh, nothing. I started with 0. Up on my copy, I started at 1. So we got the buttons. So this is actually row 6 because we started with 0. So that's the total number of employees right there. All right. Copy this down. right, so we're now going to have row 7, which is going to be our lowest paid employee. All right, so we'll put that in like that. All right, we better make sure we change these names. Okay, so this will have to be EF total, oops, EF total EMPS, we'll just call it. How's that? And we'll change the one below it to the same. And we'll change this one to EF lowest EMP. Now, one more thing we have to remember here. Okay, we were in row 5, so this has got to go to row 6. These buttons were at row 5. 5, okay, 6. That's for our total numbers, so this will be 7. This is also going to have to be a 7. Not a 47, but a 7. This will have to be a 6. And that actually, let's see. I think that's okay the way it is. All right, now I can copy this down. And this is going to change to row 8. And that's going to be highest paid employee. And that'll be EF highest EMP. That'll have to be an 8 here. And an 8 here. Okay. And I might as well make all these read-only because they're going to be set in code. I'm not setting them. I don't think I even did that on mine, so it's probably going to mean I have to write some more code in here than I've written in mine. So this is going to be row 9. And 9 is the average paid employee. And there'll be a 9 there. Oops. There'll be a 9 there. And it'll be a 9 here. And I can change the name here to, we'll just say AVG Imp. And finally, we need one last one for the total payroll. So that'll be row 10. I originally had 11, and there are 11, but now it's counting from 0 to 10. It is not going from, it is going from 0 to 10 rather than 1 to 11. No biggie, really. All right, so let's see. So this is the last one. That'll have to be a 10 there. And it'll have to be a 10 there. And I can change this to total payroll. Now, without anything else, let me just run it and see if I do get... Oh, that sure doesn't look very good. Oh, I know why. Okay, I've got to go. Well, first of all, I got errors here, but I didn't go down here and basically instantiate everything. So that's okay. Now, I think my calculate pay is going to have to go down at the bottom after all this other stuff that I just put in. I'm going to just move everything down there. Clear fields. I'll move down there. Exit program or not. I'm going to move. Oh, it is down at the bottom. Okay. Well, we've got to create the main window right here. We also have to instantiate the app. So we'll just say app equals payroll02 GUI root. And then we'll have our root main loop, just like that. All right, now we have to figure out why we're getting all these errors, but I'm not worried about it right now. I think we're going to be able to. I know what it could be right here. I think I know what it is. And that is, it's where everything is lined up. All right, so right now, notice when I get down to here, I still got create widgets, and I'm right on that row. That's good. But now, oh, I'm still, that is right where I should be for calculate pay. It says that it's not defined. Oh, these are all going to need self, aren't they? All right. So for calculating my gross pay, I'll have to pass self into this. All right. And these will all have to be prefaced with self. See how the errors are going away when I'm doing this. All I'm doing is I'm flagging anything that's been marked as being wrong. Better pass self in there, or that isn't going to work. There we go. And let's see. Now we are going to need self here and a self here. Dot. All right. Now, I haven't put in the stuff yet. I put in the GUI for the rest of my stuff, but I haven't put in the code for it yet. So let's do a file, save all, see if we run it. What do we get, if anything? Again, we may be getting an error. It's not showing one here. That's old, so let's do this. And let's try to run it again. Oh, it says we do have a run here. All right, so let's see. Let's try to run it right now. Not sure why I wouldn't be getting anything. Paper has no thing called font settings. All right, well, we better check on that. It's right there. I don't know all those font settings. This is what I'm going to do first. Okay, I think my create widgets is okay. And I actually think that most of the, if not all of the calculate gross pay is okay. But one thing I want to do is after we get done with this, I have to add gross pay to my total gross pay. All right, I want to say that again. One thing I have to do is I have to add my gross pay to my total gross pay. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back up here, and in here, way up on top, when we come in and we're creating all of our stuff up here, okay? When we're doing all of this stuff, I don't know if we need font here. I think that might be root here. I might be screwing it up. I don't know. All right. So after I've done this, before when I call the create widgets, before I do that, and I can do this basically anywhere in here, but I'm going to do it. Let's do it right here. That's fine. I'm going to initialize the payroll data. All right. So I'm going to say self.total employees equals 0. There aren't any yet. When we run the program, there aren't any. Self.total payroll. Again, we're going to make that equal to 0. Make it 0.00. All right. And then self.lowest pay, or whatever we call that. What do we call that? Yeah, we can call it whatever we want. We'll call it low pay. We'll make that 0.0. Let's just make it none. There isn't anything in there. Self.high pay. And I'm going to set that equal to none. Self.avg pay. And I'm going to set that equal to none. And I've got everything else I think is set. Those should be everything I need. Okay, so that's building it. This is my calculating. So I've now gone in and I've built all the widgets. I put in all the rows. All right. Let's see if we can clean this up a little bit from the way it was before. All right. I'm going to see if I can get rid of most of this. There's just a lot of, it appears to me as though there's a lot of stuff in here that I probably don't need. So I'm going to come back down to here. If you want to see what was there, it'll work, but I want to see if I can make it better. All right, so I'm going to take out all this error handling that I put in right there. Now, of course, I'm going to get errors because I've removed all those variables. So I'm going to come in here and say first name equals self dot ef first name dot get, and I'm going to do a dot strip right away, which is going to remove any, if there were any blank spaces put in there. Last name, do the same thing. Why isn't it getting that? First name, EF last name. Should be good. Didn't look like it recognized it there, though. All right. We just call it hours. I think I know what the problem here is, but we'll look at it in just a minute. And we're going to do the same thing, dot get dot strip. And finally, we'll do rate equals float It has to be hourly rate. All right. Now, first thing, let's keep it as hours worked and an hourly rate. And the reason I'm going to do that is because that's what I use down below. All right, so here's all that stuff. So I'm going to say if not first name or not last name, let's just raise the value error. And we'll say both first name and last name are mandatory. Something like that. Okay, so that'll handle that in just one statement. If hours worked is less than min hours, or hours worked is greater than max hours, we'll again raise the value error. It'll say hours, let's make an F string that says hours worked, like we did before, must be between min hours and max hours. All right, and then I'm going to copy this down because we're going to do almost the same thing. And now this is going to become hourly rate. And this will be min H rate. This will be max H rate. This will be hourly rate. So will this. Okay. All right. Pretty much you've got that done now. Okay. I think the clear field should be okay. I think the exit is going to be okay. But what I want to make sure I'm doing is after I calculate the gross pay, what I have to do is I have to update my, how about calling it, I don't know, update payroll stats. Which again will need self, and it'll also need the gross pay. I'm just going to put a pass in there for right now. All right. Now I want to look through my code and see if I've missed anything, because I'm almost sure that I have. All right, after we come in and we've got our gross pay, oops, we've got our gross pay, drop my mouse if you didn't hear that, and you've got your gross pay set up like that. All right, then I want to self dot, what do we just call this? I don't know. Update payroll stats. And we have to make sure that we pass into that the gross pay. All right. Now, we're still going to have to set up everything like we did in here. There we go. Okay. So what's new is this. This is what if I did this correctly, let's see if I get anything now to come print out here. Save all. It's a little scary that I'm not getting anything here. Calculate gross pay is not defined. Did you mean call self.calculate? Yes, I did. That could be what the problem is. All right, I don't know if that's going to fix everything or not. Let's see. Well, that's much better. All right, this looks really bad, so we're going to have to move out, play with that. But first of all, let's see if I can still do a calculation. I should get it, whoops. I should get 1,000 in here in just a second. I'm not, so something is goofed up in there. Clear doesn't work. Well, it cleared that. And this works. What do you know? All right, so it's kind of a mixed bag here. Let's first go quickly. I don't want to waste a lot of time on this. We're already 47 minutes into this. All right, so let's see. Well, all these that are here, I didn't put the self dot in. That's going to make a big difference. I'm going to do one more thing when I get done with this, and then I'm going to try to run it again. All right, and that is where I made this size 30 right there. I'm going to change that back to 20. See if that gives me a little more room. And let's run it. All right, still doesn't look very good here. But do I now get something in here? Still not getting anything there. Clear works and exit works. All right, where I'm putting all this stuff down here, let's see. Gross pay, calculate. Okay. I'm going to change these. So I'm going to say this. Total number EMPs. Lowest paid EMP. Highest paid EMP. average paid emp tote payroll. Let's see if that makes it look a little nicer. No, I still didn't give it enough room. So let's see. If I take all these and I move them over a column, let's see, the pad X. Okay, this is the problem. The width I put on here is too small. So let's change the width on these. So that's total number of employees starting right here. So the width of this, I'm going to change from 12 to, let's make it 20. So all these I'm going to try to make 20. I believe this is the one I should be changing. We'll find out in a second. So file, save all. Let's run it again and see if it looks a little nicer. All right, so I think it does. You may or may not agree. These all say lowest paid emp. I better change that. Should be highest paid emp. I'm just going to change this to lowest paid, highest paid, and average paid. Okay. Yep, we do have lowest, so lowest paid, highest paid, and AVG paid. All right, one more time. Let's take one last look at it here. That's not looking too bad right now. Okay, I got to fix it, but other than that, it's not looking too bad. All right, now I wasn't getting in here, I was not getting my, when I was doing this, okay, I want to check my payroll function because it didn't look like it was calculating it correctly. All right. And this, again, could be rewritten in a lot of ways, okay? Payroll stats, gross pay, self.gross pay, that looks good. That looks good. I don't know why that's not working, but we're going to have to figure that out. All right, so in updating these payroll statistics, self.total employees plus equal 1. We want to increment the total number of employees. Let's put some comments in here. So increment total number of employees next we want to increment our total pay count accumulator, or count, it's an accumulator. All right, so self.low pay, it's going to equal the minimum of self.low pay or gross pay. And we have to actually pass in the gross pay there. All right, so that'll be the low. self.highpay is going to be equal to, as you probably would guess, the max of this. All right. And our average, in fact, that wasn't one we put up before. So AVG pay, I don't think we did, or did we do that one up here? I do not remember. Yep, AVG pay. So self.avg pay that is going to be equal to then self.total payroll divided by self.total employees. That should be a dot. There we go. All right, now we have to update each one. We have to update each one of our boxes that we've got in here. So we've got one for total number of employees. We've got one for the low pay, one for the high pay, one for the average pay, and one for the total pay. So 5 of them. Let's see if we can do that by writing a routine. We'll just call it update current entry. Okay, and I'm going to have to write that down here. So this is going to be called update current entry. It'll be the entry itself and the value I want to update it to. All right, for now I'm going to put a pass in here. We'll fill that in just a bit. All right, so again, we'll need 5 of these. All right, of course, they're not all going to be the same. We've got, we'll call this low entry. We'll call this high entry. This will be average entry. And then finally, let me copy one more down here. We will have, we'll call it just tote pay entry. And that'll be total payroll. All right. And let's see. I'm going to change that to totems. I'm trying to make these things kind of jive with one another. So let's see. All right, so now in this update entry, these are all read-only fields. So I'm going to have to make them all normal, put the value in, and then make them read-only again. Should say entry, that's why I'm getting an error. Okay. Let's delete what's in there. Let's insert the new value. And let's make it back, or turn it back into a read-only field again. All right, so let's put some comments there so we know what we're doing. Make the read-only field non-read-only. Delete whatever is in the current entry. Insert the current entry. Now then, and then make the normal current entry read-only. All right, I want to check one last thing. Yeah, these names that I used in here, these totems, etc., those have to be the names I used up here. All right. So, for instance, there's the average. Did I have one for the total pay? I don't know. Total EMPs. EF. Lowest EMP. EF. EF. Highest EMP. EF. Average EMP. Those all look good. And this is total payroll. So what did I call that? I didn't. Total payroll. All right. And I have no idea if this is going to work or if I'm going to get errors or whatever. So file, save all. Let's run it again. That's a good start. Oh, those aren't coming up. Looks like it was coming up in here almost. Let's well, and nothing's happening. And I'm at nowhere. So I'm going to stop, fix it, and then we're going to go over all of it before we start the next video.